church from first to last. Thomas Cockram winked at me with the worst of his two wrong eyes, as much as to say, "I understand it, but I cannot help myself. Only you look out if ever—" and before he had finished winking, the door was shut behind him. Then Ruth said to me in the simplest manner, "You have ridden far to day, Cousin Ridd, and have far to ride to get home again. What will dear Aunt Ridd say if we send you away without nourishment? All the keys are in my keeping, and dear grandfather has the finest wine, not to be matched in the west of England, as I have heard good judges say, though I know not wine from cider. Do you like the wine of Oporto, or the wine of Xeres?" "I know not one from the other, fair cousin, except by the colour," I answered. "But the sound of Oporto is nobler and richer. Suppose we try wine of Oporto." The good little creature went and fetched a black bottle of an ancient cast, covered with dust and cobwebs. These I was anxious to shake aside, and indeed I thought that the wine would be better for being roused up a little. Ruth, however, would not hear a single word to that purport, and seeing that she knew more about it, I left her to manage it. And the result was very fine indeed; to wit, a sparkling rosy liquor, dancing with little flakes of light, and scented like new violets. With this I was so pleased and gay, and Ruth so glad to see me gay, that we quite forgot how the time went on; and though my fair cousin would not be persuaded to take a second glass herself, she kept on filling mine so fast that it was never empty, though I did my best to keep it so. "What is a little drop like this to a man of your size and strength, Cousin Ridd?" she said, with her cheeks just brushed with rose, which made her look very beautiful. "I have heard you say that your head is so thick, or rather so clear you ought to say, that no liquor ever moves it." "That is right enough," I answered. "What a witch you must be, dear Ruth, to have remembered that now." "Oh, I remember every word I have ever heard you say, Cousin Ridd, because your voice is so deep, you know, and you talk so little. Now it is useless to say no. These bottles hold almost nothing. Dear grandfather will not come home, I fear, until long after you are gone. What will Aunt Ridd think of me, I am sure? You are all so dreadfully hospitable. Now not another no, Cousin Ridd. We must have another bottle." "Well, must is must," I answered, with a certain resignation. "I cannot bear bad manners, dear. And how old are you next birthday?" "18, dear John," said Ruth, coming over with the empty bottle; and I was pleased at her calling me John, and had a great mind to kiss her. However, I thought of my Lorna suddenly, and of the anger I should feel if a man went on with her so; therefore I lay back in my chair to wait for the other bottle. "Do you remember how we danced that night?" I asked, while she was opening it; "and how you were afraid of me first, because I looked so tall, dear?" "Yes, and so very broad, Cousin Ridd. I thought that you would eat me. But I have come to know since then how very kind and good you are." "And will you come and dance again at my wedding, Cousin Ruth?" She nearly let the bottle fall, the last of which she was sloping carefully into a vessel of bright glass; and then she raised her hand again, and finished it judiciously. And after that she took the window, to see that all her work was clear; and then she poured me out a glass, and said, with very pale cheeks, but else no sign of meaning about her, "What did you ask me, Cousin Ridd?" "Nothing of any importance, Ruth; only we are so fond of you. I mean to be married as soon as I can. Will you come and help us?" "To be sure I will, Cousin Ridd. Unless dear grandfather cannot spare me from the business." She went away, and her breast was heaving like a rick of undercarried hay; and she stood at the window long, trying to make yawns of sighs. For my part, I knew not what to do; and yet I could think about it, as I never could with Lorna, with whom I was always in a whirl from the power of my love. So I thought some time about it, and perceived that it was the manliest way just to tell her everything, except that I feared she liked me. But it seemed to me unaccountable that she did not even ask the name of my intended wife. Perhaps she thought that it must be Sally, or perhaps she feared to trust her voice. "Come and sit by me, dear Ruth, and listen to a long, long story, how things have come about with me." "No, thank you, Cousin Ridd," she answered; "at least, I mean that I shall be happy, that I shall be ready to hear you, to listen to you, I mean, of course; but I would rather stay where I am, and have the air, or rather be able to watch for dear grandfather coming home. He is so kind and good to me. What should I do without him?" Then I told her how, for years and years, I had been attached to Lorna, and all the dangers and difficulties which had so long beset us; and how I hoped that these were passing, and no other might come between us, except on the score of religion, upon which point I trusted soon to overcome my mother's objections. And then I told her how poor and helpless and alone in the world my Lorna was, and how sad all her youth had been, until I brought her away at last; and many other little things I mentioned, which there is no need for me again to dwell upon. Ruth heard it all without a word, and without once looking at me, and only by her attitude could I guess that she was weeping. Then, when all my tale was told, she asked in a low and gentle voice, but still without showing her face to me, "And does she love you, Cousin Ridd? Does she say that she loves you with all her heart?" "Certainly she does," I answered. "Do you think it impossible for one like her to do so?" She said no more, but crossed the room before I had time to look at her, and came behind my chair, and kissed me gently on the forehead. "I hope you may be very happy in your new life," she whispered very softly; "as happy as you deserve to be, and as happy as you can make others be. Now how I have been neglecting you! I am quite ashamed of myself for thinking only of grandfather, and it makes me so low spirited. You have told me a very nice romance, and I have never even helped you to a glass of wine. Here, pour it for yourself, dear cousin. I shall be back again directly." With that she was out of the door in a moment; and when she came back, you would not have thought that a tear had dimmed those large bright eyes, or wandered down those pale clear cheeks. Only her hands were cold and trembling, and she made me help myself. Uncle Reuben did not appear at all; and Ruth, who had promised to come and see us, and stay for a fortnight at our house, if her grandfather could spare her, now discovered before I left that she must not think of doing so. Perhaps she was right in deciding thus. At any rate, it had now become improper for me to press her; and yet I now desired tenfold that she should consent to come, thinking that Lorna herself would work the speediest cure of her passing whim. For such, I tried to persuade myself, was the nature of Ruth's regard for me; and upon looking back, I could not charge myself with any misconduct towards the little maiden. I had never sought her company, I had never trifled with her, at least until that very day; and being so engrossed with my own love, I had scarcely even thought of her. And the maiden would never have thought of me, except as a clumsy yokel, but for my mother's and sister's meddling, and their wily suggestions. I believe they had told the little soul that I was deeply in love with her, although they both stoutly denied it. But who can place trust in a woman's word, when it comes to a question of matchmaking? End of chapter 50. Read by Landy in Sydney, Australia, November 2008.